seems to me that uppermost in the minds of you pilots would be the thought of accomplishing your missions without injury to yourselves. But apparently I'm wrong. These reports from flight surgeons all over the world indicate that far too many avoidable accidents, ranging from minor facial injuries to gross disfigurements, even death, are caused by the failure of the pilots to take advantage of two simple, efficient safety devices: the safety belt, and above all, the shoulder harness. They give you the same comfort and security in your office, the cockpit of your plane, as I have right here in my office in the station hospital. They provide the protection you need during acrobatics, when flying in rough air, when engaged in combat, and of course, when making a forced landing. Let me demonstrate their effectiveness on this machine, which is similar to the one used by the Materiel Command. For testing purposes, it simulates the shock of forced landings. Watch what happens to the dummy when he comes in with wheels up and safety harness off. Let's have a forced landing, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't take much imagination to figure out what would happen to a pilot under similar circumstances. And he'd be in the narrow confines of his cockpit. He might be thrown through the canopy. With nothing to hold you in your seat, anything can happen to you. The way it happened to 3 pilots mentioned in one of the reports I was reading. All 3 ran into unusual turbulence. And because they were not wearing their shoulder harness and safety belt, they all were knocked out of their seats, lost control of their ships, and crashed. Now, let's see what happens when only the safety belt is fastened. Sergeant? Accidents of this type account for the majority of head and facial injuries referred to in reports from flight surgeons. Now we'll have a slow motion look of exactly what happened to the dummy when it was only wearing its safety belt. Remember this, the safety belt alone does not provide adequate protection in a forced landing. At the moment of impact, the body pitches forward. Your head strikes the instrument panel, or perhaps it smashes against the gun sight. Disfigurement is bad enough. But there's one thing worse. One small, sharp bump on the head may render you unconscious. And if fire should break out, there isn't anything you can do about it. The records prove that the majority of injuries caused by forced landings are from the neck up. Many of these could have been avoided if the pilots had been wearing their safety belts and shoulder harness. Now we're going to do the job right. Both the safety belt and shoulder harness are fastened. All right, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Let's repeat that in slow motion. Neither the seat belt or shoulder harness alone gives complete protection, but combined, they withstand 15 or 20 times the weight of a man. These tests have proven why they must be used together. While the seat belt keeps the pilot in his seat during bumpy, turbulent air and during acrobatics, he is not fully protected from the other hazards of flying unless his shoulder harness is also on and locked. I want to show you exactly how you wear them. First, you make sure that the shoulder harness is over this crossbar at the top of the seat, never over the seat back alone. Then you draw the harness over your shoulders, making certain that the straps are not twisted. Next, insert the metal ends into the tongue of the safety belt lock and fasten the safety belt. Always check your belt to make sure that it's locked. May have caught your sleeve in the catch like this and loosened it. The shoulder harness may be adjusted in two positions by use of a small handle on the left side of the seat at the base. Locked the way you want it for acrobatics, takeoffs, and landings, and unlocked when you want freedom of movement in the cockpit. When the lever is to the rear, the harness is unlocked and allows you to lean forward. When you press down on the top lever and shift it forward, a catch is set which locks the harness when you lean back against the seat. Don't forget, when you adjust your harness for fit, always wear your parachute and adjust the straps to fit snugly in a locked position. Otherwise, the straps may be too short to allow the lock to catch when you lean back in your seat. If the time comes when you've got to bail out, all you have to do is flip the lock open like this, and you're instantly free. Nothing tough about that, is there? Get used to wearing your shoulder harness as early in your flying career as possible. Eventually, you'll have to wear it in combat. It's there that you'll not only run into all the troubles of normal flying, but also the man-made hazards of flak, which make the air bumpier than you ever felt it. In combat maneuvers, a snug-fitting shoulder harness is a must. You're busy with bomb release buttons, gun triggers, evading enemy flak, fighting the enemy. Your plane is going through quick, violent maneuvers, and you can't afford to flop around in your seat. You need the security of your harness. Or maybe you're peeling off for a dive bombing run. When you pull out of your dive, you might have to get back upstairs a lot quicker than you figured. Say you black out. If your shoulder harness is securely locked, there's no danger of falling forward on the controls and making your blackout permanent. Regardless of what your mission is, it isn't finished until you've landed back at your base. It may be a normal landing, or it may be a forced landing. You can't avoid forced landings, especially in combat. But with safety belt and shoulder harness, you've got the maximum protection. So use them. That fella did. And he walked away from the crash, unharmed and ready to fly again.